Good afternoon, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever, whenever you are. I am Shaggy. I am also Philalitea, and I've decided that I want to read for you the piece that I wrote not last night, yesterday. I was working on it last night. I was going to read it to my therapist today, and I decided to chicken out. And then I was just reading it now. I decided to chicken out because there were other things I needed to work on, and her job is not to pat me on the back that I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yours is. And I don't want it on my hard drive on my phone. I don't want to have to delete it because I don't like doing that. It feels like slashing the original of a painting, and I don't like doing that. So, for those who don't know, this is my literary work. I am channeling the ghost of a god who lived for 1,000 years and never died, but is separated, his soul is separated from his body. I have so much more to share than what I'm going to read today, so this might only be 15, it might be 30 minutes, we'll see. We'll see what I feel like, we'll see how it goes here in this Panera. I'm going to be copyright struck because of this music, so I shouldn't even do it. I should just wait till I get back to my tent and do it in my tent, but I don't like to get my stuff out of my backpack because I use my backpack as a pillow. And frankly, you don't make it worth it to me one way or the other. You don't. So I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what you want. But I heard Mike Florio say today that his guiding principle is that what's interesting to him is interesting to his audience. So pull my fucking hair all the way the fuck out of my fucking skull. Why even follow me if you're not interested in the same shit that I am? We're cresting what I know in my heart to be the last rise between our destination. I know this. In fact, I'm dead certain of it. Because... Do you hear that? Peto asks. I stop, almost the very moment before I could see over our little peak and peek into the valley below, almost thankful for the chance to delay piquing my curiosity and turn to face her. I thought they were going to be... Her normally dark skin is pale, ashen, like she's seen a ghost. She stopped a few steps behind me. I can't imagine what she's seen that I haven't. You heard it too, is all I say. After what has already transpired between the two of us, we may never speak in complete sentences again. I seek out the emeralds of her eyes as we listen to the din of fighting men, maybe as many as 5,000 of them, maybe a mile on the other side, maybe a half mile on the other side of this hill. A sound which I can only describe as I hunt for a word as spectral. Was there a chance I might not? Peto scoffs. Robert, it's been miles. I'm watching you climb every one of these hills in total silence, and I'm wondering, is he even in there? Does he not hear them? They're supposed to be... Please. My voice croaks, my throat seizing around the word. Stop saying that. I blink, an effort as my vision has gone white except for a tiny and fading image of an idyllic Tyrolean hillside. And I've not been looking at Peto. I turn to her. Again, an effort. What color has returned to her cheeks is belied in the wideness of her eyes. Like Grendel's mother, or Echidna, or some worse, some greater, more horrific, cosmic terror, which is yet to gibber its way into the mind of a madman, had risen up behind me. Me. She's looking at me like that. Is there a reason I might not have heard that din? Robert? I swallow hard and look to the sound. This wasn't supposed to happen, I say, as much to address the truth as to Peto. Then, with all the severity of a judge who has condemned as many as 5,000 men to death, I climb the last steps of that rise to my pulpit. And there, half a mile away, just as I'd seen myself seeing, are arrayed before me two armies, only in the broadest and perhaps most abstract sense. Certainly, I would have told you before today if you'd asked me, before seeing it with my own eyes and hearing it with what I must still believe are my own ears, and not some spectral or supernatural senses of light and sound for which I have neither names nor knowledge. I would have told you could not be possible. And yet, there it is. And here I am, unable to convince myself that I am or have ever been a liar. Then you see them too. I say when Peto does not so much come to a stop, but sinks to her knees and wails. Her keen cuts my heart like a knife of guilt and shame. This wasn't supposed to happen, I say. Am I explaining? Confessing? Whom am I addressing? I am so sorry. I could have stopped this. Two armies, then. As many as 5,000 bodies and their souls. Their bodies lie face down in one massive pile a quarter-mile long and maybe 12 men deep, like they all decided at once to drown themselves in the ankle-deep stream that once divided them. Their souls, on the other hand, still fighting, Peto gasps. How long? She looks up at me, emerald eyes, desperate, as though I might know. Maybe I should. Maybe I do. I've been muttering some combination of I'm sorry and my fault, for only God really knows how long. I don't know, Peto. She frowns and opens her mouth, but I'd already planned to continue. I feel like I keep telling you. The Master never... I didn't even believe this could happen, but I've heard about it. They were... Peto is panting, hyperventilating as she processes and copes with the realities before her. Murdered. How many of them? Died. From the fighting. With glory. How will... And the sobs overpower her sapient speech. Hell or Artemis? I ask her and she nods frantically, her curls dampening on her tears and sticking to her cheeks. How will the mistress of the hunt find them? How will the Valkyrie and her sisters take them to Valhall and their ancestors? Who will avenge them? From Peto's voice, I suspect it might be her. Listen to me, I say. Focus. We need to be focused. I don't look at her. My eyes have found what appear to be a pair of dead horses on a distant hill, right where I expected to find them. If he can see us, we're as good as dead. If he can't... The moment is suddenly more than real to me. I feel not like time has slowed, but like I am aware of every second as it passes 3 times. This is my fault. I am ultimately to blame. She told me so many times and in so many ways, and like Jonah, I dallied. And unlike Jonah, as many as 5,000 men have paid the price, a price no one was ever meant to pay. And don't forget all those little girls, Peto offers. Shut up, Peto. I hope none of those men left a wife. She'll be heaping her sins on his scale someday, too. This is as much your fault as mine. I do not add on that it might be more her fault. This is a bite of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and it was Peto who led me to eat. But it was I who dragged my feet. But I do think it might be more her fault than mine. You ask me how long. I say, watching the armies, which are evidently as real and substantial as their bodies, and I might believe they were not ghosts, if I could not see the bodies of which they are doubles, but an image alone. Or, if like real things with substance they churned the earth at their feet, as tireless as a dream, unable to die again or even sustain damage, they fight on after life. Peto regards me in silence. I don't know, but I'd heard of this. There are stories. They say that, for 3 days during the siege of Rome by Attila and his Huns, the images of the souls of the dead fought on even more ferociously than the living. So, 3 days is possible. Forever may even be possible. It may even, Peto, be possible that the bodies of these men rise en masse and return to the men to whom they owe their bonds, destroying all in their paths until their pacts are annulled by their lords, or their bodies are utterly destroyed. I've heard of such things. Peto gives me a look like I'd have to be stupid to believe that, or expect her to. I shrug. I don't expect her to believe anything. I expect that she's going to get me killed, and that her mother won't be making me rich beyond my wildest dreams in the next life. You understand, I say, looking down into the valley, that we have to go down there and say a prayer for those men. This is not a question. Will that stop the fighting? Peto asks. Have we been yelling over the noise the whole time? Let's hope Pepin the Great Let's hope Pepin the Great can hear the ghost din too, then. I don't know, I say, but in my heart, why am I so sure the little boy I once was, who started all of this for me, and whom I have so miserably disappointed, would be certain that's what St. Cuthbert would do? What does little kid me even know about Cuthbert? What? Peto hisses, and I realize 2 things. We have been walking for some few minutes. We're basically there, and I've said an indeterminable amount of my inner monologue aloud. I give Peto a and a distracted flicker of my eyes. What does Cuthbert have to do with anything? I shrug. I hope nothing. Then I stop and shoot my hands, palms up, out in front of me like I expect projectiles to fly out of them. The sleeves of my jacket billow, the echo like the flapping of titanic, leathery wings over the Alps. The only sound I hear, deafening, the sudden silence. No more than 100 yards away, 3 armies are arrayed before me. The dead one is aware of nothing. The 2 which remain have eyes only for me. Their weapons, as spectral and dual now in thing and image as the souls themselves, are held, many of them still at the ready as though they would turn them on me, and hands as clear and evidently solid to my eye as the armors that deck the rest of them. Not a hint at the unreal has any one soldier, except that all of them are simply nothing below where their ankles should be. Men, I say in a voice meant only for me and God, and I suppose Peto, you have died. Your bondage to your lords is over. By the grace of God, the highest, the first, the great, the good of creation, and the pleroma of mind, in the name of the Lord of Psychopomps, the God of the greatest depths, Jesus the Christ, I send this prayer to the Night Witch herself. I will be scumming from Pericles' oration, which I've already done a reading of, so that this is a good opportunity for you to go to my Patreon and read my reading of the Periclean funeral oration to Athens. There is only silence. The silence of a mountain valley after the passing of an army. The Hella thing, certainly a pun which only works in the spoken form, before me stares, unintelligent and unintelligible, as still as ghosts in the middle of the day. At the same moment, she breaks the weird and uncanny silence. I notice an unusual and unusually large shadow like as if the moon were descending from the sky and obscuring the sun along its path, approaching from the west, and I turn to look above and past Peto. Rob, did you just spontaneously riff on the funeral oration to Athens by Pericles? Peto, I feel my eyes widening, even as, for the first but not the last time today, I cannot believe what I am seeing. And as a prayer to Hecate herself? Peto. My jaw hangs. My lips stammer. Are you out of your mind? I have watched as a carriage as black as sin, carried by a team of 8 horses as black as death, has dragged the night behind it like a blanket through the noonday sky, descending, as I formerly described, from the western sky. At first, invisibly tiny, infinitesimal, I have watched it grow even as it approaches. It comes to a stop just behind Peto. The Anku drives. He holds up a hand in greeting, as though he remembers me. I return the wave. Swallowing the lump in my throat and looking at anything besides the door of the carriage are the most difficult things I think I have ever done. Yes, I choke. I think I finally may have. The door opens without even a whisper. If I have not made it clear, directly above me, very nearly, I can both see and feel the sun on midday of one of the hottest summers in human memory. And yet, for perhaps a 50-foot radius centered on that carriage, it is the middle of the night. A chill wind stirs. My eyes are telling me that it is the middle of the night, I'm sorry. A chill wind stirs the dew on the hair of my arms. Robert? Shut up, Peto. A woman's voice snaps from inside the carriage. If that spectacle, this spectacular bubble of night, were for my eyes alone, as recently as a moment ago, Peto is let in on the game. She drops instantly to her knees like her feet had been yanked from beneath her and kisses her face to the ground in a universal supplication of ultimate humility. For not even one fraction of a moment does she see carriage, driver, or occupant. I can't look away from that door even as it opens toward me. Not every moment is a chance to vent your disdain, girl. I see a pair of feet fall to the ground. The rest of the speaker is shielded from me. If I had expected this, goddess, right? A display like that has to be a goddess, right? To be tall, I am disappointed. Not only is she not statuesque, she is downright tiny. I am stunned to see a woman who would have to strain on tiptoe to reach 4 feet with the crown of her head round the comparatively giant door with evidently no effort. She closes it. She is positively elfin, except for her pixie-cut black hair, and it's not just her complexion. She can't be a day over 16 years old. In fact, if she's 14, I'm 42. It used to be Nyx's. She's a much bigger bitch. Queen of the Night, she says, her voice admiring, her black eyes literally filled with stars when she turns to me. She blinks her long teen lashes. I haven't heard that one in a while. I look down at her and hear myself say, I can't imagine you've heard anyone call on you by any name for a very long time. It is true, things have changed for us all since you last lived, she says. There is a mischievous sparkle in her starry night eyes. That wasn't me. This is the first. Perhaps, she shrugs, but how many are observing? Which is speaking? How many times have we done this in the speaker's time? This is the first. my voice says from my mouth, but I have no clue what I'm saying or going to say next. Then it is not the first, she laughs. Good. Let the truth know better than I what is about to happen here today. Her laughter climbs now to a pitch of mania only reached by the truly insane. Why have you called on me? I indicate the armies. The goddess, I am still unsure whether I have called summoned, Hecate, or some other. In fact, I am certain I am the one who has gone mad. She regards the ghosts. Ghosts, she says. The spirits of the damned. Unavenged murdered. What do I want with them? Consecrate the ground? Say, there are thousands of them, I interrupt her. I don't have time. Not my problem. It will be your problem, I say, when the night becomes a plague on men and they learn to light you and your monsters away. Compassion for animals is beneath the dignity of my deity, she says, crossing her arms beneath her underdeveloped bosom. It is not compassion to take these men with you to hell where they belong, I say, and I know that it is I saying it. I can hear myself telling myself to say it. It benefits you. It is beneath my dignity as deity. The goddess screeches, stomping her feet in impotent leaps. To play psychopomp for men! These are no heroes. You were meant to do that. She jams that finger in my face, and I want to break it off and shove it up her stupid nose. I wasn't the Christ. That's just a dream. You two can stop saying that. Tell yourself that, Peto says. Shut up, Peto. The goddess and I harmonize. If I was, I say, the Christ, I failed. Hell could not or did not find these men, because they were not meant to die. If I was him, then I am him, and I will become him again, by that authority alone. And recognized by me, Peto says, holding up a second hand. I look down at her. This is maybe the most hilarious and in that way insane act of suppliant defiance I have ever seen. The goddess barks a wolfish laugh. I feel indescribably sad for Peto, bad for her. Stop feeling for the handmaid, the goddess scoffs. Again. Maid, indeed. She exists only to do as she is, as she does. I want to argue this. Surely, as a human woman, she has all the free will of any human. But I don't. I don't know what I don't know, and, anyway, I can be sure Peto is my Delilah. Who my Philistines are is a problem for another time and some other place. Or so I figure. You have no choice but to help me, I say, meeting her eyes. If I am Psychopomp, then I am also the salvation of the damned. Take them to hell. No god likes to be pulled rank on. And that's what I wrote. The next scene is obviously going to be, or not the next scene, but the next action piece in this scene is obviously going to be her getting back into the carriage with a huff, and then the Anku, who is the death that you are familiar with, the hooded skeleton with the sickle, he gathers up the dead behind his carriage, and the army marches off in a triumphal procession toward hell, which, when you see this in subtitles, will be spelled H-E-L, one L. That's a goddess. What I have just read for you is very, very, very clever and very deep, and deserves admiration. It deserves to be read. It deserves fans. And I need your help with that. So the next thing you can do is, if you like that, you can go find my Patreon. It's probably under my name now. I think it's actually Vincent K. Dennis. Whatever. It should be whatever. If it's not, you can hit me up in the comments and you can find it there. You can find me on Twitter to find links to my Cash App, PayPal, etc. All of my tips are there on Twitter. I'm VK Dennis on Twitter, or at S Philalitea. You can learn how to spell Philaletea. It's going to be an important word in your life because Robert is not a private detective. He is a Philaletea. That's what he calls himself, and that's why I adopted it, because under his guidance, with him as my master, I am killing him as an author. It's a very complex, not ceremonial magic that I am weaving for you in this tale, and if you don't like it, you are the one missing out. George R.R. Martin can eat his heart all the way out. And frankly, J.K. Rowling is a hack. If you think that she and Neil Gaiman were blending Greek and etc. mythology into an interesting panpsychic universe, you haven't seen nothing yet. Give me a reason to work on this. Really, I need it.